The first thing she says after the storm should make no sense. "Tomorrow, I will tell them you died." For a moment, you just stare at her, not because you did not hear the words, but because you heard them too clearly. Outside, the wind is still dragging its nails across the barn walls. Rain leaks through the roof in slow, cold drops. The lantern between you burns low, throwing weak light over wet hay, muddy boots, and the torn edge of her dress. She looks nothing like the women you usually see from a distance on horseback or behind carriage curtains. No polished smile, no gloves, no pride left, just a pale face, shaking hands, and eyes fixed on yours as if your answer might decide whether this night was mercy or a mistake. You are Isaiah, 29 years old, born on land that never belonged to your family, though 3 generations of your blood have sunk into it. You know the sound of chains dragged across wood. You know how to read a white man's mood before he opens his mouth. You know when to lower your eyes, when to stay still, when silence is the only thing keeping you alive. And you know one thing more clearly than anything else. A black man alone in the dark with a white woman does not get a trial. So when she says it again, "I'm going to tell them you were killed in the storm," your whole body goes cold. You should not say things like that, ma'am. Your voice comes out rough, careful, controlled. "If they find us here, if they think I touched you, spoke wrong to you, kept you here, I know what they'll think," she cuts in. Not loudly, not sharply, but with the kind of voice that tells you she has been afraid for much longer than this one night. You look toward the door. The storm has weakened, but not enough. Not yet. The swamp outside is still black with floodwater. Branches scrape and groan. Somewhere in the dark, something heavy collapses with a wet crash. By sunrise, search parties will come, men with lanterns, men with rifles. Men who will not ask what happened. They will see her, they will see you. And then they will build a story with only one ending. Your hands curl into fists. You should have left her where you found her. That is what fear says. Left her on her knees in the mud beside the broken carriage wheel. Left her with the rain in her mouth and the sky splitting white above her. Left her to the storm, left her to the world she came from. But that is not what you did. Because when you heard her scream through the wind, it did not sound like a white woman's voice. It sounded like a human being about to die, and your mother, God rest the dead, used to tell you something when you were small enough to still believe the world had room for simple truths. When someone is drowning, child, the river does not ask who they belong to. So you went. You ran through water, up to your shins.
It's bending flat in the wind, past a horse split loose from its harness, and screaming into the dark. You found her, half pinned beneath a fallen limb, one ankle twisted, her hands bloody from trying to crawl. She flinched when she saw you. Of course she did. You still remember that part. The way terror came into her face before relief did. The way she tried to speak and swallowed rain instead. The way she hesitated when you reached for the branch, as if even then, half buried in mud, she had been taught that your hands were more dangerous than the storm. But you lifted the branch anyway. You pulled her free. You gave her your shoulder. You brought her here. And now the two of you are sitting in the aftermath, trapped in the one kind of danger neither of you can outrun. She draws in a breath. My name is Eleanor Whitfield. You say nothing, not because you do not know the name. You do. Everybody within 10 miles knows it. Her husband died in February. Fever, they said. Left no son. Left a half-broken estate. Left debts. Left wolves circling in polished boots. You have seen her once before from the field road, seated straight-backed in a carriage, looking ahead like a woman trying not to turn her head toward the suffering that feeds her life. But tonight she does turn. Tonight she looks straight at you. I know who you are too, she says. You work on the Barrett land. You nod once. That means you understand what happens when the sun comes up. A bitter laugh almost rises in your throat. but it dies before reaching your mouth. Seems to me, ma'am, you understand it too. She lowers her eyes for the first time, and when she speaks again, the words come slower, stripped clean of rank, of performance, of the careful training she has probably worn all her life. If they find you with me, they will hang you. Not might, will. She says it plainly, and somehow that makes the barn colder. You study her face, waiting for the next part, waiting for the selfish part, the frightened part, the part where she asks you to run so she can save herself. Instead, she reaches into the lining of her soaked cloak and pulls out a small leather purse, then a folded paper wrapped in oilcloth. She holds them so tightly her knuckles blanch. You saved my life, she says, and now I am trying to save yours. You do not take either one, not yet, because men like you do not survive by trusting sudden kindness, not from strangers, not from white people, and certainly not from people whose names can move law faster than truth ever could. What is that? Money, she says, and papers, not enough to fix everything, but enough to make a man disappear. The lantern crackles. For a second, the whole room goes quiet except for the rain. Disappear. The word lands in you harder than any blow. Not escape, not run, not hide. Disappear, as if a whole life could be folded up and put away before morning.
You think of the quarters, of old Ben's cough in winter, of little Ruthie asleep beside the stove, of the boys who watch how you carry yourself because they are still learning what manhood looks like under a boot, of the ones who come to you in whispers because you can read scraps of newspaper and tell them what the world beyond the marsh is doing. You think of all the people who would wake tomorrow and hear your name spoken like a burial prayer. You think of being gone, and for one shameful, blazing second, you want it. You want freedom so badly it scares you. A road north, a false name, no overseer, no auction block, no one owning your breath, just the chance to belong to yourself before you die. Then the feeling twists, because freedom bought with silence has a taste to it, and you already know what it tastes like. It tastes like leaving others behind. You still haven't said why. Eleanor's fingers tighten around the paper. There are men looking for me by now, she says. Not because they fear for my safety, because they fear what I know. That gets your attention. You look up. For the first time since the storm brought her to you, her fear does not seem borrowed from this night. It seems older, deeper, personal. You shift closer to the lantern. What do you know? She opens her mouth, then stops. Her eyes flick toward the barn door as if the darkness outside might be listening. When she looks back at you, her voice drops to almost nothing. My husband kept records before he died. Records of sales, punishments, children taken from mothers, names of men who made money from all of it. Your jaw tightens. She swallows. And some of those men are preparing to do something worse. The storm groans overhead. The lantern flame bends. The paper in her hand trembles. Then she leans in and says the words that change the shape of the night. If those records are real, then men will kill to keep them buried. And that is the moment you realize this is no longer just about surviving until morning. It is about what she carried into this barn, and who may already be hunting for it. Because somewhere beyond the rain and flooded fields, someone may already know she never reached home. You hear it before you understand it. Not footsteps, not voices. A dog, far off at first, muffled by rain. Then again, closer. Eleanor hears it too. Her head turns toward the barn door, so sharply it is almost a flinch. They brought hounds. You are already on your feet. The lantern throws your shadow long across the wall. Your pulse is suddenly everywhere. In your throat, in your wrists, behind your eyes. By daylight, men can lie to themselves and call it law. At night, with dogs in the swamp, they call it something else. A hunt. You move to the narrow gap beside the door and look out.
Nothing at first but black water and broken reeds trembling in the wind. Then, far beyond the flooded field, a light. Then another. Lanterns. Small. Shifting. Coming your way. You step back. They're searching the road already. Eleanor rises too quickly and catches herself on a support beam, one hand flying to her ankle. Only then do you remember how badly she twisted it. She sees you notice. I can walk. That is not what I asked. Her mouth tightens. Pride, even now. But pain has already drained the color from her face. The dogs sound again. Closer now. Not close enough to see. Close enough to know time is ending. You look around the barn. Rotting hay. Broken crates. Rust-stained hooks in the beams. A loft above, half collapsed. No real place to hide. No safe corner. No miracle waiting in the dark. Just a few more minutes before this night becomes whatever the men outside decide it is. You said your husband kept records. Eleanor stares at you, breathing hard. Yes. Where? At the house. That is not what I mean. You glance at the oilcloth packet still clutched in her hand. What did you bring with you? For a second, she says nothing. Then she looks down at the packet like she hates it. Copies, she whispers. Not all of them. Only enough. Enough for what? Enough to ruin men. The words hang between you. Outside, one of the dogs barks again. A sharp, hungry sound. You hold out your hand. Let me see it. She hesitates. That tells you more than any confession could. Whatever is in that packet matters. Not to her reputation. Not to money. To survival. Yours. Hers. Maybe more than that. Eleanor. It is the first time you say her name. She notices. Slowly, she places the packet in your hand. The oilcloth is damp but tied tight. You unwrap it carefully. Inside are folded pages, cramped with neat columns and names. Dates, ages, prices, destinations. Human lives reduced to inventory. Your stomach hardens. One page lists children under 10. Another marks mothers sold separately. Another records disciplinary losses, with numbers where names should have been. Losses. As if flesh and grief were no different from broken tools. Then you see something else. Not just records of sales. Payments. Quiet payments between planters. Sheriffs. Traders. A judge. Your eyes stop on one line. Girl, age 12, sent south after continued resistance. No surname. No second note. Just a price. Your fingers tighten around the paper. How many people know you took this? Eleanor answers too fast. No one. You look up. That was not the truth. The silence after that is ugly. Finally, she says, Charles knows something is missing. There it is. Not a guess. Not fear born from storm and darkness. This is real. You feel it settle in your bones. The men with lanterns are not out there just looking for a lost widow. They are looking for what she stole. When did you take them? This afternoon. You blink. This afternoon. She nods, eyes glassy now, though her voice holds. I found letters first. Then the ledgers. My husband had hidden copies in a locked chest before he died. I think he meant to use them if his partners ever turned on him. She swallows. Charles came earlier than expected. He went into the study. He saw the chest disturbed. He said nothing. But I knew. I knew he understood. So you ran. I left before supper. With evidence against men powerful enough to bury bodies in church clothes and still sit in the front pew on Sunday. Her face goes still. Yes. You look back down at the pages. This is more than cruelty. Cruelty you already know. This is arithmetic. System. Protection. Prophet, written in clean ink by men who call themselves civilized. And suddenly you understand why she is here. Why she is terrified. Why she offered to let Isaiah die before dawn. Because once these papers are found, this stops being scandal. It becomes war. The hounds are louder now. Lantern light flashes between the slats. Too close. You rewrap the pages and push them into your coat. Eleanor sees the motion and stiffens. You cannot keep those on you if they search you. If they search me, I am dead anyway. Her lips part, but no answer comes. You move quickly to the ladder nailed to the far wall and test the first rung. It creaks. The loft above sags under years of neglect. Still, it may buy a minute. Maybe two. You climb halfway, scan the upper level, then come back down. No good. Too exposed. A beam of light sweeps past the cracks in the wall. You hear a man shout something in the distance. Another answers. The voices are not clear. The tone is urgent. Organized. Eleanor grips the edge of a crate. If they find us, tell them I forced you to bring me here. You turn to her. That will not save me. It may save you from the worst of it. A short laugh escapes you then. Hard. Dry. Nearly cruel. The worst of it. You step closer. Ma'am, the worst of it for a man like me is not pain. Your voice drops. It is being turned into a lesson. She cannot meet your eyes after that. Good. Let her feel it. Just once. Not the whole thing. No white person ever does. But enough to understand that what hunts you is not only death. It is spectacle. Another shout,
A name through the rain. Mrs. Whitfield. Then again. Mrs. Whitfield. Eleanor goes rigid. You feel the whole night narrow to a single point. They are here. Not mere. Here. She looks at you with panic rising fast beneath the surface. If she answers, they will come straight to the door. If she stays silent, they will know something is wrong. You cross the space between you in 2 strides. Listen to me carefully. She nods too fast. You are going to call out. Her eyes widen. What? You are going to call out and say you found shelter. Nothing more. They'll come inside. Not if they think the roof is failing. You look up at the cracked beams. At the storm-soaked boards hanging loose above. Then back at her. You said you wanted me dead by morning. Her face pales. I said I wanted you alive. Then do exactly what I say. You grab an old iron hook from the wall and slam it into the weakest support post you can find. Once. Twice. The wood groans. Dust rains down from the rafters. Eleanor stares at you as if you have lost your mind. Outside, a lantern stops moving. A voice calls again. Mrs. Whitfield. You raise the hook for another blow. And this time, when the beam cracks, the whole barn answers.
The crack runs through the barn like a rifle shot. Then another. The beam above you splits with a deep, sick groan, and half the loft drops 3 inches in a shower of dust, hay, and rotten wood. Eleanor gasps. Outside, the men start shouting all at once. Back away. The roof's giving out. Mrs. Whitfield, answer us. You drop the iron hook and catch Eleanor by the arm before she can lose her footing. Now, you whisper. Her whole body is shaking. You can feel it through the wet fabric of her sleeve. She turns toward the door and calls out, her voice thin but clear enough to carry. I'm here. A beat, then, louder this time. I'm inside. The roof is unstable. The effect is immediate. Men who would have rushed in a second ago stop themselves. Not because they fear for you, not because they care what happens to a black man trapped inside,
Because white men do not run headfirst into collapsing timber for anyone unless they have to. Not even for one of their own. A voice from outside cuts through the rain. Mrs. Whitfield, are you alone? The question lands like a blade. Eleanor looks at you. You hold her gaze. Steady. Hard. This is the moment, not the storm. Not the rescue. Not the papers. This. The moment where she decides what kind of woman she is when a lie can save a life. Her lips part. Yes. The answer comes fast, clean, without trembling. Yes, I'm alone. You do not breathe. Outside, there is a burst of overlapping voices. You cannot make out every word. Only fragments. Thank God. Get the ladder. No, damn it, can't you see that beam, circle around the rear? Then one voice rises above the others. A man's voice. Smooth even through the storm. Controlled. The kind of voice that does not need to shout to be obeyed. Eleanor. Everything in her changes. Not just fear. Recognition. Disgust. Something older than both. She whispers before she can stop herself. Charles. So that is him. The man from the papers. The man from the fear in her face. The man who was never supposed to find her this quickly. You step back from the door, your mind turning fast now. If Charles Whitfield is here himself, then the ledgers matter more than you thought. Men like that do not ride through floodwater in the dark for a frightened widow. They ride for proof. For silence. For control. And if he sees you in this barn, there will be no story tomorrow except the one he writes with your body. Where is the back exit? Eleanor blinks, still listening to Charles outside. There used to be one near the feed room, but I don't know if it still opens. You do not wait. You move through the dim barn, keeping low. The lantern behind you throws broken shadows across worked boards and stacks of old sacks gone soft with damp. Every step stirs the smell of mildew, wet hay, and old tobacco. Behind you, Charles calls again. Eleanor, step away from the center. We're coming in. No, she shouts, louder than before.
Main beam is splitting. Good, you think. Keep him talking. Keep him outside. Keep him afraid of the roof for one more minute. You find the feed room by feel more than sight. A narrow side space half hidden behind hanging tools and a fallen shelf. The back wall is swollen from years of rain. At the bottom, merely invisible in the dark, is the outline of a door. You shove once. Nothing. Again. The wood sticks hard in the frame. From the front of the barn comes the scrape of boots. Not inside yet, but closer. A dog barks sharply. Too sharply. One of them has caught something. Maybe your scent from when you came in. Maybe the mud. Maybe fear itself. You brace your shoulder against the door and drive forward with everything left in you. This time, it gives. Only an inch. Cold swamp air knives through the gap. It opens. Eleanor's voice reaches you through the dark. Enough. You widen the gap with both hands. The lower hinge screams. You freeze. Outside, silence. Not natural silence. Listening silence. Then Charles again, calm as a prayer spoken over a grave. Eleanor, who is in there with you? The question is soft. That makes it worse. You turn back toward the center of the barn. She is standing exactly where you left her, one hand pressed to the beam, the other wrapped around herself. The lantern light catches the fear in her face, but not just fear. Decision. She is deciding again. How far she will go. How much she will risk. Whether your life is still worth the lie, now that Charles himself is standing outside. No one, she says. Charles does not answer at once. Rain ticks through the roof. The dogs whine. Somewhere nearby, a branch falls into water with a splash. Then, you were never good at lying to me. Eleanor closes her eyes for one brief second. And in that second, You understand something you had not fully understood before. She is not merely afraid of him. She knows him, knows the patience in his cruelty, the polished manners covering rot, the way he can make horror sound reasonable. Isaiah, she says, so low only you can hear it. If he comes in, he will kill you first. You almost answer, but footsteps crunch around the left side of the barn. 2 men, maybe 3, trying the rear. Your head snaps toward the broken doorway. Charles kept you talking, kept her pinned, sent others around the back. Of course he did. Move, you hiss. Eleanor limps toward you as fast as her ankle allows. Every uneven step looks like pain. Every second she spends crossing that floor feels stolen. Outside the rear door, lantern light begins to glow through the widening cracks. Voices now. Close. Right there. I see the door. It's open. Someone forced it. You reach Eleanor just as her bad foot buckles. She pitches forward. You catch her around the waist. For one instant, all the danger in the world narrows to the weight of another human body against yours. Mud. Rain. Heat. Breath. Then you pull her through the door into the flooded dark. The swamp takes you at once. Water surges over your boots. Mud tries to keep your feet. Reeds whip your face. The night beyond the barn is thicker than ink, broken only by the shaking gold of lanterns behind you. Can you run? No. Truth. There and useless. You drag her forward anyway. Not gracefully, not heroically, just desperately. Branches claw at your coat. Water splashes loud enough to betray every step. Behind you, men shout. There. Rear side. Move. And then the sound you were praying not to hear. Charles's voice. Don't lose them. Them. Not her. Them. He knows. You and Eleanor stumble behind a stand of cypress rising out of black water. For one breathless second, the trees hide you. You push her down behind the roots and crouch beside her, both of you fighting for silence, while lantern light swings across the flooded reeds. Your hand goes to the papers inside your coat. Still there. Still dry enough. Still worth killing for. Eleanor's face is inches from yours now, pale in the dark. Her whisper barely exists. I'm sorry. You look past her toward the searchlights moving through the swamp. No. You whisper back. And now you mean it. Because this night has already gone too far for apologies. Lantern light sweeps across the water in front of you. Then stops. A hound begins snarling somewhere to your right. Too close. Much too close. And through the reeds, you see a figure separating from the others. Walking toward your hiding place alone.
You do not move, neither does Eleanor. The swamp seems to hold its breath with you. Water presses cold around your boots. Mud sucks at your knees. The roots of the cypress rise behind your back like twisted ribs, half shelter, half trap. And through the reeds, one lantern is drifting closer. Not swinging wildly like the others. Steady. Patient. Whoever carries it is not searching. He is tracking. The hound to your right gives a low, hungry growl. You turn your head just enough to see it through the reeds. A big animal, dark-coated, muscles tight, straining against the leash. One more sound from either of you, and it will lunge. Eleanor's breath catches. You reach over without looking and press one hand lightly against her wrist. Not to comfort her, to warn her. Stay still. The figure with the lantern steps closer, boots sinking softly in the wet ground. No shouting, no rushing, just the quiet confidence of a man who believes the night belongs to him. Then the lantern lifts, and you see his face. Charles Whitfield. He is younger than you expected. Not old,
not clumsy, not shaped by indulgence the way many wealthy men are. He looks precise, clean-shaven, well-dressed despite the storm, a dark coat buttoned to the throat, gloves still on. The kind of man who would sign away a life with tidy handwriting and never stain his cuffs. His eyes move over the flooded reeds. Not frightened, not angry, interested. That unsettles you more than rage would. Behind him, one of the searchers calls out, "Sir, we've lost the trail near the water." Charles does not turn. "Then you have not lost it," he says calmly. "You have only failed to read it." The man says nothing after that. You understand immediately what kind of power he carries. Not the loud kind, not the drunken kind, the colder kind. The kind that makes other men ashamed to disappoint it. Charles takes another step. The hound pulls hard now, nose low, whining through its teeth. Its leash is all that keeps it from plunging toward you. Eleanor's wrist trembles under your hand. You lean close enough for your lips to almost touch her ear. If it comes to it, you run left. She barely moves. And you? You keep your eyes on the dog. I slow them down. A tiny shake of her head. Immediate. Desperate. No. You ignore it. There is no room now for the kind of hope that needs both people to survive. Charles stops 10 feet away. You can hear water dripping from the hem of his coat. Can hear the dog's breath. Can hear Eleanor fighting not to cry out. Then Charles speaks into the darkness. Eleanor. Softly. As if inviting her into a parlor. As if this were courtesy. As if the men behind him were not armed and combing the swamp. I know you can hear me. He waits. The pause stretches. You are injured, he continues. You are frightened. And you are with someone who cannot protect you. Your jaw tightens. Eleanor's face hardens too, but she says nothing. Charles takes one more slow step. I told them this storm had confused you, he says. I told them grief had affected your judgment. I gave you that mercy once. I will not do it twice. Mercy. The word turns foul in your head. Men like him always wrap cruelty in polite language. Dress a cage as concern. Call possession devotion. Eleanor leans forward slightly before you can stop her. He killed my husband. For a second, you think you heard wrong. Your eyes snap to her face. She is still staring through the reeds at Charles. You know that. You breathe. Not with proof. Not proof. Just certainty. Sometimes certainty is worse. Before you can say more, Charles speaks again. Come out, Eleanor. And I give you my word, no one else needs to suffer for this. There it is. Not a threat shouted in anger. A bargain. The kind that leaves blood on someone else's hands, while his remain clean. You feel Eleanor go rigid beside you. She believes him. Not because she trusts him. Because she knows he means every word. If she steps out alone, he may still destroy her slowly. If she does not, he will kill whoever helped her first. You. The hound snarls louder. Its paws churn the mud. Its nose jerks toward the cypress roots. It has you now. Another second, maybe two. Then Charles will see where it points. Your mind races. Lantern. Dog. Water. Roots. Men spread wide behind him. No path back. No clear shot forward. Then your fingers brush something half buried beside your knee. Broken glass. An old bottleneck lodged in the mud. Sharp enough. Not to fight all of them. Not to win. But enough for one move. One distraction. You ease it silently from the muck. Charles is speaking again, voice low and patient. Eleanor, if this man has frightened you into hiding, say so now. You know what these people are capable of when they see opportunity. These people, even now, even here, a whole race turned into one shadowy thing he can use when truth threatens him. Eleanor's breathing changes. Not fear this time. Anger. Good. Anger can move faster than fear. You look at her once. In the thin wash of lantern light, her face is transformed. No longer the trembling widow in the barn. No longer only hunted. Now she looks like someone who has finally found the edge of what she can endure. When I move, you say, do not wait. Her eyes jump to yours. You tighten your grip on the broken glass. Then, before she can argue, you hurl it hard into the water far to Charles's left. It lands with a sharp splash against a cluster of reeds. The hound explodes, barking, lunging, dragging its handler sideways. Men shout at once. There, in the reeds. Go. Charles whips toward the sound. That is all you need. You shove Eleanor forward and rise out of the roots in the same motion, crashing into deeper water on purpose, making as much noise as you can. Run, you shout. No whisper now. No caution. Just command. It's left through the reeds. You drive right. The swamp erupts. Lanterns swing. Men curse. Branches snap. The hound goes wild. For 3 glorious seconds, they do not know which of you to follow. Then Charles makes the choice for them. After the man. Of course, always the man first. The witness. The threat. The one who can carry the papers. You hear boots tearing after you. Hear water breaking. Hear the dog freed at last. You run anyway. The swamp opens suddenly beneath your next step. Not ground. Water. Deep. You plunge chest high with a cry you cannot swallow back. Cold slams into your ribs. The papers under your coat stay high only because you throw one arm up at the last second. Behind you, voices surge closer. There he is. Take him. You claw your way toward a fallen log slick with moss and drag yourself half out, gasping. The dog hits the water 2 strides behind you. Too fast. Too close. You wrench around just as it lunges. Its weight slams into your shoulder. Teeth catch cloth, then flesh. Pain bursts white behind your eyes. You drive your forearm into its throat. It snarls, hot and savage, trying to drag you under. You smell swamp water, wet fur, blood, your blood. Get it off. The handlers are still coming. Not fast enough to help you. Fast enough to take you alive once the animal breaks you down. The dog snaps again. This time, just as its jaws open near your face, a gunshot cracks through the swamp. Everything stops. The dog jerks, releases, falls sideways into the black water. For one stunned heartbeat, even the men behind you freeze. You look up, across the reeds, through smoke and lantern light. Eleanor stands on the rise with a pistol in both shaking hands. And Charles is staring at her like he has never truly seen her before. For a heartbeat, the swamp holds still. Smoke hangs in the air where Eleanor fired. The dead hound drifts beside you. Lantern light shakes over black water and white faces. No one seems to understand what just happened. A white widow has just shot a hunting dog. For you. Charles understands first. Eleanor, he says softly, put the gun down. That polished voice again, the one that makes obedience sound like reason. She keeps the pistol raised. No. The word is small, but in this place, from her mouth, it lands like another shot. His eyes sharpen. You took something from me, he says. Give it back, and this night never has to be spoken of again. You feel the weight of the packet inside your coat. Heavy, wet, full of names that were never meant to be read out loud. You pull it free. Every lantern swings toward you. You don't run. Not yet. You hurl the packet past Charles, up onto the muddy rise behind him. Pages burst loose. White sheets slap against reeds and boots. One of the men, on reflex, bends to grab a page before it sinks. He reads. His face changes. Another man picks one up. More names, ages, prices, disciplinary losses. The air shifts. They all see the same thing. This isn't gossip anymore. It's ink. It's proof. It's Charles's handwriting. Don't look at that, Charles snaps. Bunary losses. The air shifts. They all see matters most. Not Eleanor. Not order. The papers. Eleanor's voice cuts through the rain. Read them, she says. Read what he did. Read what all of you signed your names beside. Silence spreads through the swamp. Not a clean, noble silence. An ugly one. Men who followed orders their whole lives are realizing there is no way to touch this without getting some of it on themselves. Charles's mask cracks at last. You see it in his eyes when he looks at the drifting pages. At you. At Eleanor. If he kills you now, it doesn't put the ink back in the bottle. Too many eyes have seen. Force still works in this world, but not as cleanly as before. He slowly straightens his coat. This is not finished, he says quietly. It's not a threat shouted to the trees. It's a promise made to himself. Then he turns and walks into the reeds. Not running. He would rather chew glass than run in front of his own men. But he leaves. One by one, the others follow, carrying lanterns and damp pages and the first real fear of what the truth might do in daylight. The swamp settles around you and Eleanor. Your shoulder throbs. Your jaw sings with pain. She wades toward you through the water and mud, the pistol lowering at last. You're bleeding, she says. You're shaking, you answer. Both true, neither important right now. You stagger to the rise with her help, and sink down against a cypress root. The sky above the trees has started to pale. Dawn. Gray. Thin. Cruel. The kind of light that shows everything. For a while, you both just breathe. Storm dying. Birds starting. Slowly stepping back. Then you look at the ruined pages clinging to the reeds around you. You said the truth goes north, you murmur. Yes. Her voice is steadier now. You take what you can carry. You find the people I told you about. You make sure these names don't sink. You study her. And you. I go back. You almost laugh. To him? To the house, she says. To questions he can't smother anymore. If I vanish, he controls the story again. If I return, wounded and loud, I become part of his problem. You understand. There is no safe path left. Only different kinds of danger. You push yourself up. She helps you stand. It's not graceful. It's not heroic. It's just two people whose lives have cracked open on the same night. Beyond the trees, a thin path of higher ground runs off into the mist. North. You look at it. You think of the quarters. Of famineary losses. The air shifts. They all seize. The air shifts. They all seats. They all see. They all see. They all see. They all seef. You gets to live. They'll ask nary losses. The air shifts. They all seize. I'll tell them you died a hero, she says. They don't deserve the rest of nary losses. The air shifts. They all see hat path. Not nary losses. The air shifts. They all see. Of them has to be buried so the others can move. Nary losses. The air shifts. They all see. Your step will hurt. Your shoulder. Your jaw. Your memories. But inside your nary losses. The air shifts. They all seize. They all necessary. Behind you, Eleanor calls out one last time. What nary losses. The air shifts. They all see it one no man can own. You don't turn back. You just carry the words with you, into nary losses.
The air shifts. They all see you. Into a future that will only nary losses. The air shifts. They all see. Air shifts. They all see. Nary losses. The air shifts. They all see. Isaiah sinks behind you with. Merry losses. The air shifts. They all see. The truth is finally on its way north. Nary losses. The air shifts. They all see. The truth is finally on its way north. Merry losses. The air shifts. They all see. The air shifts. They all see. The air shifts. They all see. The truth is finally on its way north. The air shifts. They all see. Merry losses. The air shifts. They all see. If you are well, remember the NAF. The air shifts. They all see. If you are well, remember the NAF. They all see. The air shifts. They all see. The air shifts. They all see. The truth is finally on its way north. The air shifts. They all see. They started their feeding from a NAF. The air shifts. They all see. You found another than defended. The air shifts. They all see. 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 The air shifts.